Step back and see the macro and digest it down to the micro. Trading, investing, and geopolitics from macro down to the micro. Welcome to Macronomics.
Welcome back to Macronomics, guys. Welcome. So today I wanted to talk to us quickly just about a couple insights. We was on Wikipedia. You know we love us some Wikipedia, continuing to piece together. And real quick, guys, let me just throw this out there because there seems to be a an outlook on this process that thinks that it's a shortcut. It's honestly a hamster wheel if you truly look at it. And here's what it is. For all my traders, right? For all my traders, a lot of people, you start trading, right? You start losing, and then you think it's something within the market, and so you go back and you start learning as much as you can about the market. You know, technical analysis, fundamental analysis, political overviews, macro spheres, interest rates, and all these pieces. You try to piece them together, then you come back to the drawing board. You lose again, and then you go and try to learn as much as you can again, and you come back. That right there is a recipe for disaster, stress, and turmoil, guys. The whole process behind trading, if you're going to be successful trading, you have to go within yourself. You have to develop the processes within yourself. You have to be disciplined. And more importantly, you have to have a system for you, because the market has so many different components, and it's a let me tell you what time it is. A probabilistic? Yeah, we'll go with that. A probabilistic system, game, if you will. It's a probabilistic game. It's not about being right. It's not about predicting. It is about simply probabilities. So yes, I do feel like having an awareness of the macrosphere and certain overviews of how what's happening within the world is great, and that's what I like to do. That's why I talk about Wikipedia and getting on there and learning. But I'm not under the false pretense that if I can just learn as much as I can about the interbank exchange system, forex, policies and all that stuff, I'm not under that pretense that if the more I learn, the better I do, because those two are connected yet not connected. One is creating a macrosphere where you see it from the macro, but when you need to trade, you need to get micro. And the micro is you on this huge wave. You're the droplet in the ocean, right? You cannot tell where the ocean or where the wave is going necessarily. You have to simply ride it. As things become to swell, you can simply step back, and from a probabilistic point of view, you can see, you know what? Boom, 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 this, and that. I'm not going to get into the specifics, because everyone's specifics is different. And do not get swayed or confused with people telling you that this is the ultimate system. I've listened to hundreds of interviews with different traders, many different books, and all this is to simply say that everyone has their own process. And yes, you can extrapolate and learn from others' experiences, as you should, but you need to be adding to your system. You need to have your system, okay? That's very important. And then with time, you refine. With time, you refine. It's not about being right. It's about learning. It's about setting up. It's about knowing your A, B, and C game. I'm finishing up this book now called Trading. Let me pull it up, because if you want to get psychological, guys, this is a great book. The Mental Game of Trading. I actually just finished one of his other books. It was actually The Mental Game of Poker. And some of the concepts reign so true. I said, you know what? Let me check out this other book. And of course, the concepts are the same, but a little bit more granular as far as trading. And it's really deep, because it talks about the psychological components that make up people's trading. And again, back to the main point, we focus on things outside of our control, trying to learn as much as we can, when we should be focused on the internal environment, because that's what's dictating the trades. The market is a tsunami of different factors that you cannot predict. And again, it's probabilities, guys. Your system has to be set up. You have to be willing to lose. This correlates to all the books that we've talked about and will continue to talk about. The best loser wins, right? The Best Loser Wins. That's a great book that we talked about a couple weeks ago. The Best Loser Wins is essentially learning how to lose. You are going to lose. That's like poker. The same concept. You will not win every hand. You will not win every game. Variance is an absolute fact. And that's the same, and that's why I think poker and trading are so similar, because the concepts reign true. Someone who thinks they will have a perfect game and they'll be perfect and they'll, win all the time, they are in for a rude awakening. You must learn how to lose. And when you lose, you must be okay with it and understand that this is part of the process. See, but losing, I feel like maybe that's the verbiage that's used that confuses people. Instead of losing, maybe we could switch it up and say learning, right? Look at it as an investment in your learning, because the more you can train your perspective, the more you can see it as opportunity. You know, if you guys do like poker, check out my other podcast called Pokernomics. So, about 2 weeks ago, we spoke about how right now we're on the high end of our variance as far as a couple tournaments and high stake matches that we played in the past couple weeks, right? We've won a large majority, but it would be foolish and unwise to think, you know what, we're actually great, we're better than all these people. Because the fact is, the cards play a role in this, luck plays a role in it. Yes, skill set is an absolute fact, but the skill that you're able to see on a scale is over a large sample. It's not over 2 to 3, 4, 5 games. Yes, you might have some huge mistakes that people make in the game that you capitalize on, and you're able to win because of that. Yeah, but again, the cards still play a role. They still play a role, and the fact is, you should not get confused by whether you're winning or losing, your profit or your loss, because it all goes back to variance and sticking to your process. So overall, guys, we just want to take that quick rabbit hole just to say, do not get confused in trying to learn as much information as you can and thinking that's going to help you earn more money, because it's not a job. It's not like a job where the more work you put in, the more you get out. It's not like that. That's why you have people that can make so much money with minimal effort, and someone else sees that and they want to get to that, but they do not see what it took for that person to develop that process, nor to develop their inner fortitude to take those trades and systems. It's a process, guys. And so, back to the main point with Wikipedia. Yes, every morning we have a process where we simply learn, and like we talked about a couple weeks ago, we simply dive into Wikipedia and just learn different loopholes. Because overall, guys, we do want to have a view of the macrosphere, right? But we do not want to get lost trying to trade the macrosphere. Especially if you're trading on a short term. If you're going to be trading the macrosphere and some of these policies and things happening within the world, you got to have a large time scale, like a couple years to at least a year, so, around that range, in my opinion, because things take time to play out, and you will have variance and up and downs, and things that you couldn't predict. And so, this morning we was reading about the interbank exchange system, and essentially within the foreign exchange market, 51% of all the volume and transactions is done by this top tier interbank market. And so we're still learning about it and we're still piecing it together. But essentially, the spreads in this market is razor sharp. And the further you go down, the more the spread widens. So at the very top, you have large volumes. And then as you go down, you have retail, hedge funds, smaller banks, etc. And they have a wide, the volume starts to decrease until you get down to the very bottom, which is the retail trader. They're at the very bottom, and the volume is significantly less. And so think of it as a pyramid. Now, see, that simple piece of information, you can extrapolate some insights from that, right? Now, let me ask you this. Can you take that piece of information and go trade it and make thousands of dollars on it? I'd say yes and no. Yes, and the fact of this should not be directly, what's the word? Directly, I guess, the foundational element to your trades. Like, you can't go trade, okay, the pound and the US dollar. Okay, so I know the interbank system trades 51%. of the and they're at the top tier. Okay, so they must be doing this. At that point, you're speculating, right? Because again, even within those systems, they're airtight. There's not, there's policies and systems around safeguarding a lot of these trades and these top tier systems. So the most that you could do is speculate. So if you're speculating simply on a whim and you have no system to observe and systematize, then again, it's back to the main concept. You're in for a rude awakening. Now, if instead you was to take that piece of information and in a grand scale, a grand overview of awareness, you're able to piece that together, then yes, it could be profitable. But that cannot be the direct trade, that piece of information. So I hope that makes sense, guys, and that learning is a valuable skill set within this sphere, and extrapolating and getting a grand view of how things are orchestrated and put together. But you should not utilize those pieces of information as the sole source of trades. Your trades must be set on a microsphere. A microsphere of you. You are the microsphere. Your system, your stop loss, your psychology, your warm ups, your all that is you. And then the larger macrosphere, you're able to marry the two. We spoke about this before. The fundamental and the technical. If you think about it, the fundamental is the macrosphere, right? Those are things that's happening on the grand scale, on a big scale. The technical is you. It's how you see the market. It's how you see the charts. It's a lot more granular, right? It's like in chess. You have what is it? Okay, tactics and strategy. Strategy is the overview, right? Right now, as we speak, there is a lot happening as far as strategy around energy, oil reserves, politics. Political agendas. You got that. Those are all strategies. These governments, these certain players within the grand scale. It's strategies that's being employed from OPEC releasing a certain amount of barrels. Like this is all strategy, right? But then if you wanted to actually trade any of those concepts, you'd have to get granular, and that's where the tactics come in. Within chess, you can have a strategy to get to the right side of the board and try to, piece in the king and cut off his routes. Okay, that's the strategy. Now, the tactics is how do we get to that point? What is the hand-to-hand combat? We got to get 2 miles that way. Okay, that's the strategy. Now the tactics is hand-to-hand. The fighting to get to that point. And so, shameless shout out, guys. Shameless plug. I don't know what people say. I guess I'm gonna make my own shameless shout out plug. Chessology. If you like chess, check out our other podcast, Chessology, guys. Now, that's gonna conclude today's episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. The central theme of this is do not get caught on the hamster wheel of absorbing so much information that you don't trade based on a system that you create. Because at the end of the day, you're not trading against the market. You're trading against yourself.